Welcome to O-Line Security, a training academy helping you break into IT. Yo, 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 what up, what up, what up? This is Toby with O-Line Security, and we're back with another quick video, very quick video. This is going to be about computer resources. So let's call this Computer Resources 101. All right, most of us are very brand new to IT. We're new to the field. We're new to dealing with systems, memory, storage, CPU. It may seem as a foreign topic to you. So let's break it down in the most simplest way that we can so that everyone can understand moving forward. So, your computers, right? It's not what we're talking about is not just limited to the computers. We're also talking about your phones. We're talking about tablets. We're talking about servers, any type of computing device, even devices in the cloud. But for this example, we're going to limit it to our laptop since most people are familiar with what a laptop is. Resources for our laptops. Resources for computing devices usually comprise of three main things: your CPU, your memory, and your storage. Okay, CPU, memory, and storage. And they're pretty simple to understand. Let's use Firefox as our example. When you download and install Firefox or Google Chrome, whatever browser that you use, when you download and install your application, that application is going to be downloaded into your storage. Your storage can be different things. We'll just use a hard drive for now. Most of our devices have hard drives. Okay. Your application is going to be downloaded and installed in this storage. Your storage is something that will always persist. Storage is something that if I save a file on my computer, if I save a folder, if I save some type of document, some type of picture, some type of video, or some type of application, if I download and install it onto my system, it's going to be stored in a storage device or on a storage device. When you turn your computer off, for the most part, when it reboots or turns back on, this application, the file, the folder, the picture, the video is still going to exist on that storage device. This is why when you type up a paper for school, when you download pictures on your phone, and when you restart your phone, restart your laptop, turn it off for the day and turn it back on, that data, that application, that file, that folder, that picture, it's still there because of the way storage behaves. Okay, storage is non-volatile. The data should not be wiped away after it's stored there. And Firefox is going to store different things in storage, right? So if you download a file from Firefox, if you go to olinesecurity.com and download one of our syllabus for one of our workshops, you will see that storage, you will see that file after reboots. After you turn off your computer and turn it back on, you'll still see that syllabus there, okay? Because that's the way storage works. Now, let's go to the next component, right? Storage, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. You save things on storage, it should persist. The key term here, especially for the Security Plus exam and other types of certification, it should persist. It should remain there. It should still live there even after rebooting or turning your system off, as long as you saved it, right? So, next component, memory. Now, memory is a bit opposite of storage in behavior because with storage, it's not volatile. The data is usually going to persist. With memory, this is a very volatile location. Memory is a very volatile location. When you, for the most part, right? We're not going to get into the nitty gritty weeds of things. For the most part, when you restart your system, when you shut it down and turn it back on, data in memory is usually wiped. In other words, it's gone. It's not going to be there. Okay, that's the nature of memory. That's just how it naturally behaves. Now, what are some examples of things that can be stored in memory? So let's use our same Firefox application. This can apply to any other application out there. We're going to use a web browser since most of us are familiar with web browsers, whether it's Firefox, Google Chrome, or whatever you're using. Firefox. We can open up multiple tabs. I can open up multiple tabs here. Those tabs are going to use memory. Memory is used by your application. Okay, memory is used by your applications to store some type of content, to store some type of data. When you're opening up different tabs on your system, the tabs are going to use memory to store its web pages or the images. It's going to use memory. When you're logging into your bank account or when you're logging into your social media accounts, your cookies, they're going to be stored in memory, right? If you're not familiar with cookies, it helps track the state of your session. It helps track the state of your session. It helps the browser understand what session it's dealing with and what you were recently authenticated to, if you authenticated. But memory is used by our applications. It can be used to store temporary data such as credentials, your login credentials. It can be used to store quick calculations. It could be used to store variables. It could use to store the used by Firefox when you're opening up multiple tabs. All of the data that those tabs are containing can use memory, right? For memory, right, when we're talking about memory, we're talking about RAM, your random access memory, right? This is a temporary location that your apps use to store data. All right, sweet. So we got storage down, we got memory down, now the CPU. And we're going to use the same application. The CPU. This is the brain power of our computer or laptops or phones or servers. This is the worker. This is the component that is doing most of the work. When Firefox is creating web pages for you, when it's opening up the new tabs, it's the CPU that's actually opening up the new tabs. It's the processing power that's actually opening up the new tabs. When it's doing decryption or encryption, or you have extensions and add-ons for Firefox, it's the CPU that's actually doing the work. The CPU makes everything in Firefox happen. When you go to youtube.com, let's say you go to our YouTube channel and you're watching one of our videos, maybe the top Linux command videos, it's the CPU that's loading that web page. It's the CPU that's playing the YouTube video. If you're using Discord as an application, it's your CPU that's running Discord. If you're launching Zoom up, it's the CPU that's actually doing the work. It's actually allowing your application such as Firefox to work. Okay, we have CPU, we have memory, and we have storage. All three components work together. CPU is doing most of the work. It's when it comes to allowing our applications to function, allowing our system to function. It's not just limited to the applications. CPU is doing most of the heavy lift. The memory is most of the time, it can be used for many different things. Most of the times, this is a temporary location for our apps to store data so they can function as well, right? Not to actually do the work of functioning, not to actually load up web pages, not to actually load up YouTube videos, but memory is used to temporarily store data such as your credentials so you can have an active session to your bank account or have an active session to your Wi-Fi. And then storage, we're going to use this as a persistent storage, a persistent device where we can save data and always be able to access it even if the system restarts or is shut down and turned back on. Same thing as a restart, right? So when we download and install Firefox, it's going to live in storage. When we execute Firefox, in other words, when we double click Firefox, it's going to utilize CPU to start up, and then all of the data, well, some of the data that Firefox is using is going to be stored in your memory, such as your login credentials with whatever applications you're logging into or your cookies. They're going to be saved temporarily in memory. When you restart your computer, most of this data in memory is wiped. The data in storage is not wiped. CPU isn't going anywhere. This is the backbone. These are the workers. This is the core, the core worker that is doing all of the work. It's not going anywhere if you restart or turn off your computer, right? What the processors are using, which is what that P stands for, what the processors are using will stop, right? They will stop. The programs will stop when you turn off your system. When you turn it back on, the processor will get back to work. And that's it, y'all. This is Resources 101. Please let us know if there are other things that you would like us to break down. This was actually a request for somebody on YouTube. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the likes. Please keep it up. Please keep helping one another, learn, answering each other's questions in the comment section. And I will see you all next time. Peace.